All right, Friday update part one. Here's where we're at, the latest. There was a conference call this morning between the arbitrator, David Johnson from the city, Joel Dialbo, myself, and Donna Dowd from the PBPA. The scheduled topics to be discussed were the implementation of the personal day, which looks like it's going to be worked out, and it's going to be a personal day to be used all the way through December 31st of this year. That language needs to be put in writing and signed off, agreed upon by both parties, but that's where we're at by agreement at this point with the personal day for those that qualified for the extra personal day. The other conversation was discipline. There's going to be a little hearing next Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. prior to the day 3 of the day off cancellation arbitration to discuss the discipline component of the insubordination complaints as a blanket discussion. The other unscheduled topic that it kind of turned into was the exemption policies and the processes. And as we explained, the concerns, issues, and things that have come to light even post-arbitration, the arbitrator was a little disturbed, confused, I guess, wanted clarity on some issues. So what was agreed upon is that we would address it in a phone call at 4:30 this afternoon about what we had discussed earlier in the day once we got together and presented in more details. And here's how we got here. In arbitration, we presented several examples of very similar, if not exactly the same, exemption requests by family members or husband and wife, whatever the case may be, who both work for the city, where one was denied and the police one was denied and the other one was granted, whatever other department it happened to be. Those examples were somewhat dismissed as not very conducive to a pattern, so to speak. So that was the extent of the arbitration ruling. After the arbitration ruling came out, though, one of our officers, and I will give him props, Glenn Papiello, really kind of took it upon himself to do a bunch of FOIAs. After arbitration the award was issued, Glenn got his FOIA requests back, which showed some information that we had been asking all along and had never been given by the city. And I'm talking all the way back to negotiations in September and October prior to the city walking away from the table. A lot of this information and detail we had requested, they denied, they ignored, or they said they had no access to it. And yet it was granted with a simple FOIA after the fact. Had we known, we were led to believe the information was not available. That's what we have documentation in email after email from the city's responses for our requests. So that's what's going to be discussed this afternoon. We're seeking some relief here. One of the requests was to push back the implementation date from the 13th till we can discuss the grievances that have been filed on the exemption component of this. So I'll update you all after the 4:30 phone call. One last nugget. There was a video posted last night on Facebook that made its rounds about an attorney who had some success downstate challenging the governor's mandate. I had spoken to that attorney not once, but twice, I think even 3 times now, and I just spoke to him again. And just some clarification. There seems to be a misconception that he was all but guaranteeing that this could be a winner, and that the union basically said, oh, now we get it, that's a great angle. Again, his argument and his thought process of what needs to be attacked is sound, but it doesn't necessarily include union members or people covered by collective bargaining rights, number one. There are other avenues that will probably be pursued, but in no way, shape, or form was he saying that it was a slam dunk winner. So if anybody got that impression that this was some kind of overlooked thing, it was discussed, and it didn't sound like the best course of action at the time. At this point, anything that we can put up as a defense, we're going to entertain that path forward. And including that one, there's going to be some further discussions early next week about what to do with that line of attack also when it comes to the vaccine mandate itself. Stay tuned for the later update. By the way, I meant to say thank you to the 12 aldermen and Alderman Tabares for spearheading the letter to the mayor, basically asking to call off the dogs and let's focus on public safety and not put anybody in a no paid status come March 13th. We need to focus on making the streets safer, not less safe. So I appreciate the support from the city council. Our members do. It doesn't go unnoticed. What also didn't go unnoticed was the scores of signatures that should have been on that piece of paper that were not. Again, you're really making the case very easy to say you don't support the police when it really counts. Have a good day.